Hello, everyone, and as always, welcome back to Strategy Gaming Dojo, where we find, learn, and play one more turn of the great strategy games. And today it's back into Gary Grigsby's War in the Pacific Admirals edition. This is our Let's Play against the devilish Mr. Lodric. And as I did in February of 1942, I'm also going to do here kind of near the end of March, or the end of March 42, and that is do a whole trip around the board and just let you see my setup. I've decided, go ongoing here once a month near the end of the month in game time. I'm just going to do the setup and I'll talk about certain things. Sometimes I might be a little more quiet as I'm really setting this up for the first time. It's not like it's a review, and so we'll go around. If something's interesting, I'll point it out. Otherwise, you may just watch me set up things. Maybe it'll be helpful to you, and you can get a sense of where everything is in the game. And so when you watch the combat resolutions, or we just do our regular turn setup review, you'll have a better idea of why things are going where they are on the map, and whatnot. Maybe it'll help you with your game as well. So again, I'm going to do this like once a month, maybe a little bit more if people really like it, maybe a little bit less if people hate it, but probably about once a month. Anyway, it is now March 25th, 1942 in game time, and let's go to the stats and see where we stand. Okay, last turn, we ran 6,078 sorties. The Japanese ran 8781 for the campaign, 284,000 for us. Lodric's up to about 429,000 sorties, just a massive, massive number for him. As his bombing campaign continues to ratchet higher and higher all the time. Air-to-air losses, we took 5. The Japanese took 7. Overall, you can see it's 250 to 663. Not surprising. We lose a lot of Dutch fighters in the battle over Java. Destroyed on the field. We had 4. I always hate that, of course. And we'll go figure out where those were and how something got destroyed on the field. My suspicion is those 4 were actually on a air transport, but we'll talk about that when we get there. Destroyed by flak. He had 1, we had 0. He took 8 operational losses, we took 4. So overall, in the air, it was pretty even when it comes to losses here. Get down here, political points 271. We're still getting a little bit of a penalty because I have a transport ship that is bleeding off 20 points a day, which is way too much. But I've got him out in the middle of nowhere, and I can't take him out of circulation until he gets where he's supposed to go. And so we have thrown away some political points. Unfortunately, we do need to buy out another infantry regiment if we can. So getting this up into the 650 range or so is going to be very important for us. The score 17,710 to 7799, or 70, I wish it was 99, 7719. So we're still, let's call it 2.5 to 1. We just can't let it get to 4 to 1, as I've said many times. We're almost even on the bases controlled now, 425 to 413. Okay, aircraft points lost. You can see, even though we've lost quite a few more planes than he has. Some of his were valued as more and whatnot. So it's 745 to 1230. That's fine for this part of the game. Here's where we've lost a lot, obviously. 7606. Is that an 8 or a 6? 8! 7806. So much has been lost in China. We've talked about that many times. The Japanese still at 178. This is way too low. We just have not bloodied his nose as much as I would expect to do and would like to do. Allied ships, we have lost 425. I think I read somewhere that the Allies lost about 1,000 ships, like a little bit less than that, like 990 ships during all of World War II. So I think we're running ahead of that pace, unfortunately. As far as we know, the Japanese have lost 9. I suspect it's higher for reasons we've talked about before. Ship sunk last turn. We lost 2 Dutch AKLs here, and Basen and Romney Island or Ramray Island. Um, 5347. They're Dutch AKLs. I don't know. I'm not exactly sure. I mean, I will know when I see Basen, I'm sure. This island, I'm not sure. But anyway, I mean, we could go find it on the map. 5252. Okay, I'm just gonna go do it because now it's gonna drive me crazy. So 24. Okay, so it's gonna be this way, but it's gonna be lower. Oh, I did it the wrong way. Okay, hold on. 52, 52. Oh, there's 52. Oh, it was over here by Rangoon. And here you can see the task force that's I'm trying to get back into Rangoon now. They got hit because he's got his carriers out here. And it was two little AKLs, 2 point ships, and then we've got a couple others that are trying to straggle their way into Rangoon. All right, I'm not going to go through all the usual stuff. We'll do that next turn as far as what's coming in, pilots, do we have an ace, all that kind of stuff. We're just going to start setting up. And like I said, this one may be a little more quiet than it is sometimes, just because I may have to focus. Imagine that. Wow. We'll see if I can do it. But I always start up at Abaddon, Aden, Cape Town. I do those three, and maybe anything in the Arabian Sea. That's how I get going. So let's go to Abaddon. We have nothing here. It's all been shipped out, pun intended, but we have nothing here. It's just the big base fortress. Okay, no ships in port, no aircraft here. You can see we've got 180,000 in fuel, 14,000 in supply. So again, it's all about the fuel. Now a lot of the tankers I've sent over to Cape Town, but again, that's something we'll get into. And then we'll click here, and we'll see what we've got that's come out of Abaddon, where it's headed, and we'll talk about maybe why it's headed there. Um, this is actually returning, as you can see. Nothing on here. It is a CS continuous supply from Abaddon to Karachi, so it's heading back to Karachi now. I've got it on minimal refuel. A lot of times with these continuous supplies, you want to have it on do not refuel because this tells you what it's going to do when it gets to its destination. So we don't want it refueling in Karachi. It kind of defeats the purpose. We take fuel down there, and then they suck it back up just to get back to Abaddon. We don't want that. Now, the reason I have this one on minimal is because the Abaddon to Karachi, you can do this sometimes just so they don't have to sit in port so long. But am actually going to turn that to do not refuel. It doesn't really make sense to do that. The game will make sure it's got enough fuel to head back to Karachi when it loads up. Okay, so there's that. So that's a CS to Karachi. We've got another CS to Karachi with tankers. And so this is what you're going to see over and over. I've got my shorter range tankers all going Abaddon to Karachi, and many of them in a CS. So CS do not refuel. This is an AK, so this is just cargo. It's coming back. I'm actually going to set this up as a supply ship that just goes Abaddon to Aden. Okay, so it'll be back in the base in a couple of turns, 3 days, and we'll set it up that way. Then I have these tankers, same idea, CS to Karachi. And then finally, I have some AKs, so we can take some supply. I mean, the main thing you're doing out of here is all fuel. And then when it gets to India, it goes through all the industry in India and turns out supply. But so that's mainly what you're going to have because Abaddon has got mainly fuel, so you're going to carry as much fuel as you can. But we do have 18,000 in supply. There's no reason for it to sit at Abaddon. You're not going to. I mean, you don't really have troops there except for this base force that's here. I guess it's a fort. But anyway, this is coming back to base. When it gets there, I'll probably set this up as a CS for supply. And that's that. I mean, there's nothing else to say about those ships. We'll move down here into ships that are about to move onto the map, and we'll see what we got going on there. We have a transport here that has got the 8th Medium Regiment. This is artillery. So this is coming out of Aden, actually. Want to make sure it's on everything coming to Karachi. You want on do not refuel. Um, because then it'll just refuel when it gets back to base, obviously. And then it looks like we've got a cargo task force here that is carrying fuel. This is a CS. Now, I don't really like to have these ships carrying fuel. As you can see, they only carry at half capacity because they're dry cargo ships. They're not tankers. So they only carry fuel at half. But we've got so much fuel up here. Some of your cargo ships you're going to have to do this with. Now, this group is doing supply, and it's a CS Karachi. Okay, so it'll be there in 4 days, or be on the map in 4 days anyway. And then here's another dry cargo uh, fuel task force. So again, some of these I'm just putting fuel on because you've got so much more fuel than supply. And sometimes when it gets back, it just makes sense to have them carry fuel. The AKV, which is a cargo ship for aircraft, what's the difference? I think we've talked about it, but when you do this as cargo aircraft, they don't break down the planes and put them in boxes. So usually when you take a regular cargo ship, and you put it, a plane, or you put a squadron of planes on it, they break them down, and then it takes days to build them back up where you go. But if you have an AKV like this, they carry them on the deck, and so they're going to carry the squadron, and the squadron will be ready to go when it gets here. Looks like it'll get on the map in 5 days. So in about 3 turns, we'll get it. And it's 6 Catalinas. And this is very important because we talked about way back when we had the tragedy at Bombay, we talked about the fact we didn't have enough recon. Well, these Catalinas are going to give us some recon, and they're float planes, so we don't even have to have airfields. Although now we've pretty much got airfields, anywhere where I would put these. But anyway, they're coming in to Karachi, and then we'll fly them down. And that's what you do with troops and planes. They come in at Aden, you take them to Karachi, you fly them down the coast. Um, Okay, so that's that, and we'll get over here to the box that's coming out of Aden. This is another AKV, or cargo aircraft, and what is this carrying? Oh, it's coming back. I'm sorry. It just went into Karachi. It's coming back. I always put these on auto disband, so when they get, but now you don't want to do it when it's going out here because it will disband in its destination. But once you've dropped things off and it's heading back, I put it on auto disband just so it kind of goes back into, goes at anchor, and then you can just pull up what ships are available here. Speaking of which, here is Aden. Do we have, oh, we got to get off that. Do we have any troops here? We do not. We do have another. Uh, Now, this time it's just a straight up AK that we turned into air transport. The Cornish City. This is 15 swordfish. So that's great. These swordfish are the torpedo bombers. We got 15 of those in, and now those are headed for Karachi. You can see here the torpedoes. I've got these on upgrade. Let's take that off. 15 of them. They are carrier trained and capable. And capable. So, I mean, they're ready to go. If we look at the pilots, yeah, their naval bombing is not great yet. We're just going to have those guys train, 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 and train, and eventually maybe put them on one of the British carriers. But there's nothing else here to do. Now, we've got 31 ships up here, which is too many, really. I don't really want this many ships up here. We have the Fortune and the Genesta, which are both anti-sub, and we probably want to keep a couple of these up in Aden because you've got troops that you send out different places. We've got the AMCs that we're hiding, and then we've got some tenders. We've got an auxiliary tender, cargo ammunition. Okay, great. They can sit here. That's fine. Then we have a lot of APs since you get so many of your troops coming at Aden. They're I don't want to say hiding, but they're just sitting up here waiting for things to come because we don't have any places elsewise where we really need to take troops. Now, some of these 12,000s here, if we look at the situation in Aden, we've got 11,000 in supply. It's low. That's why I'm going to have that one ship come over and bring some supply over here. Just because you do get troops in here and sometimes they'll sit here for a turn or two, they need supply. But we've got a lot of fuel here actually, and I'm going to take some of these 12,000 ships. They don't need to all be up here because 6,000 gets you to Karachi. So it's not like we need all of these, especially the Madras City, which is a 12,300. But that is a faster one that could go, could pair with one of the faster transports. I think what I'm going to do is take about 5 of these 12,000 endurance ships. Let's do cargo. Let's do endurance. All right, you see we've got a lot of these AMCs. Okay, the 12,300s, I think I'm going to leave them here because they're a little faster. We'll put troops on those or go with the transports. But I think I'm going to take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of these 12,000 endurance ships with decent cargo capacity, 3,900. Okay, and we're going to dock those, and I'm going to have them load fuel. We don't really need fuel at Aden, so when this loads up, it's going to be, about 9,750 tons of fuel. And what am I going to do? Well, I want to take that to Cape Town. So I'm going to put its destination is somewhere out here on the map because you can't do it directly. As I talked about in previous videos, the Mediterranean is shut down to us until May of 43. So we can't put anything through the box from Aden to Cape Town. Instead, you got to bring it to the map and then set the home port as Cape Town. So when it gets on the map, it's going to look around and say, what's my next orders? Well, your next orders are to retire to Cape Town. So we're going to load this up with fuel that we don't need here, and we're going to take it to Cape Town. And I think that's really all we need to do at Aden. We've got ships in port, but we're just waiting for troops there. Now, what do we have down here? We have got a surface fleet. We've got the Revenge, the battleship Revenge. We've got 4 destroyers and a destroyer escort, and we've got the armed merchant cruiser, the Corfu, with a really good endurance. Um, I batched these up and I'm taking them to Cape Town. Now, you may say, why does this say Cape Town and Cape Town? I thought you just told us if we come on the map, that's not really how it works. Well, I had already done this before I started recording. So I did have this come to the map because you have to. Now I've set its destination as Cape Town and its home port at Cape Town, and we're going to have it auto disband. I'm going to have all of the British surface fleet stage at Cape Town. There's really no reason to have them up here. It's faster to go Cape Town to Colombo than Aden to Colombo, or other places on the map where you may need them. And so I'm going to go ahead, have everything over here at Cape Town. So that's really the only thing on the map up here. So let's go down to, well, we're going to go to Mombasa first. What do we have here? Some AKs. You get ships in at Mombasa from time to time. There's only the fortress there. And these are all like ships. Okay, we've got them docked. And are we doing anything with them? Well, let's look at the situation. We've got 49,000 tons of supply at Mombasa and 16,000 fuel. So not bad. You always want to have a few task forces coming up here and picking up stuff because you just get a lot there. Well, I say a lot. You get stuff there, and if you don't look for a couple of weeks, it'll start to build up, and it certainly has here. Now, these have pretty good capacity, but I think I'm going to take the supply out. So let's have it load supply. Now, I don't want to give it a destination yet. And the real reason for that is because I probably want it to come into Colombo. Um, yeah, I mean, really, that'd be the place we would send it out of Mombasa, is really into Colombo. But of course, we've got these Japanese task forces out here, we want to wait till they do whatever they're going to do and retire back to Singapore to send anything out here. And I just don't want to forget that we've given it that order, and then all of a sudden in a couple of turns it's floating out here, and I'm like, oh my gosh, how did I forget that? So Mombasa, we're going to have that load supply. Down to Cape Town we go. Here is our carrier, the Formidable. Of course, we lost the Indomitable at the disaster of Bombay, but we've got the Formidable here, Newcastle. This is that light cruiser that specializes in AA, and if you want to see the difference, let's see. The Newcastle has 392, although this is the Southampton class. I believe this is the top class that the British have right now. Let's see what we've got here. Well, this is 400. I mean, it's supposed to be a dedicated AA group, and you can see it's got a lot of AA guns, but it's really not that much more than the top end, just like plain old light cruiser. This is actually faster. It's got a lot less endurance, though, and I would guess its gun size is smaller. That would make sense, really. I don't know. We've got these AA guns here. Oh, I'm sorry. Did I say these are their the regular guns? These are the AAs. They've also got the 2-pounder Mark 8s. Okay. It's got radar. It's got no anti-submarine capability, as is the case with almost all cruisers and light cruisers. That's really a destroyer thing. Then we got a couple of destroyers in here. They're both 8s on the anti-sub. which really doesn't get better than that, right? Okay, so that's our carrier. Let's look at the formidable. We've got 3 squadrons of planes on here. The British carriers can only carry 33 planes. That's embarrassing, Brits. And we've got 31 on there. So it's not like, we're going to be able to stack a bunch more planes on here. You can see some of them are actually in reserve here, which is fine. Let's look at these. Make sure everybody's up on train. Training, escort, 20,000 feet. I'm running at 20,000 feet because their maneuverability is still pretty damn good at 20,000 feet. Um, yeah, let's go back. The Albacores, these are the torpedo bombers. We're training naval attack, 5,000 feet. Okay, so I think I've got these set up. And you can see here, we've got 6 serviceable, 3 in reserve, right? Um, Training, 5,000. Okay, that all looks good. Good. Now, let's see what we've got here in port. We've got this filled up, fully loaded with supply and quite a bit of it. So it has loaded up, and let's go ahead and get this going towards Perth. And then we'll try to escort it when it gets near the map. So off you go, my friend. All right, that looks good, and we'll put that on do not refuel. They've got plenty of endurance. We got another ship here that's completely full. This will also go towards Perth. Okay, do not refuel. Great. And again, I'm running my escorts out of Perth itself. Now I've got this TA Johnson that's actually unloading some stuff. This came out of Aden, I believe, or Bombay. So I just loaded it up before I left to drop it off at Cape Town. If we look at the situation at Cape Town right now, 275,000 supplies, 79,000 fuel. I finally got this all stocked up the way I want. You can see we've got 62 ships in port. So we're going to want to, send some more of those out because we've got plenty of both supply and fuel. This ship just came back. I think I had it run because I saw his fleets coming over here. And so I'm actually going to disband this task force. Let's disband that for a second. I'll come back to those in a minute. And now we're fully loaded here with the Pioneers. Now, are they loading supply? They're not. Okay, so what all do we have here? On the Hector, we've got a Pioneer Battalion. These are Australian troops. They'll need to go out to Perth. I've got some of them here on an AMC, an armed merchant cruiser, which can carry troops. Now, these, I've talked about these before. They're worth a lot of points for what they do. I don't really like to have them on the map because they're just point magnets, really. But we're going to do it here. We've got 1st Australian Corps Engineers and another Pioneer Engineer Battalion. These just got here. Looks like they've got the endurance. Let's replenish this from the port if we can. Nope. At sea. All right, there we go. So the other ships here at the port replenish this for us. That gives us plenty of endurance to get out to Perth. So we're going to take these to Perth. All right, and we'll do another do not refuel. Of course, you can see here the 2 ships are in the red, but because this has 18,000 and it will share with them, they've got plenty to get there, 139 and back, round trip 278. It's got 330 in endurance. So do not refuel. We'll have to make sure we bring some escort out because we can't lose that AMC and we don't want to lose these Pioneer battalions. Right, so that's unloading, and I'm going to put that on auto disband when it's done. All right, let's go out here and see what other ships we can get. Now, we brought the Ceres in here. The Ceres has almost no anti-aircraft. This is kind of a worthless ship. I mean, it's got some guns. I guess it wouldn't be worthless for a shore bombardment because it does have guns, but I mean, it's got no AA ability really. It needs to upgrade. And let's make sure, when is this supposed to? 942, we've got it on yes. Let's go about our upgrades. So let's take off all ships. CACVL, we've got none of those. CVE, battleships out here. Then it's just the and we already know that that's able to upgrade. And then the destroyers, the stronghold, will make sure that's allowed to upgrade as well. while it's out here. And I think, yeah, we don't have a D, we don't have any APDs. So I'm just going to leave that as is, and we'll click off that. Um, None of the, shoot, you know what? This is why I say this may be a little slower. Let's actually say no upgrades for anything on this list, okay? For all of the ships here, you see all of the AKs, all the APs that we have out here. Now let's go back and do that. And we know it's just these two. So we'll allow upgrades for just the light cruiser and the destroyer. Just a simple, easy way to do that. Let's bring that back up. Let's go back to all ships and see what we have in here. We have the Angelina. It's this is a very small ship. I mean, it doesn't take a whole lot of fuel anywhere. It's the kind of ship you would take fuel to, let's say, Diego Garcia. It's only worth 4 points. Um, let's actually look at the situation at Diego Garcia. We've got no fuel there. We do need some fuel there, so I'm actually going to load up the Angelina with some fuel, and let's do tanker. All right. And there's the Angelina. Done, and it will automatically refuel when you put this. Oh, you know what? I'm not sure this will get all the way to Diego Garcia. Let's uh, let's put it with a crappy cargo ship that's only got a 10 speed. Um, oh, I did it as a tanker though. You know what? I'm going to disband that. This is what happens. This is how the meatloaf is made. You're not always aware that these are the crazy things going on behind the scenes. We don't have any need for the APs. There are no units in here that can be carried. I probably have too many over here. Some of them probably should go up to Aiden, but for now I'm going to leave them. And let's go about and get some of our faster cargo ships if we have any there. Yeah, we got some at 14. Let's go get our 14s and form some cargo task forces. So we got a cargo task force. Let's go speed. All right, and we don't want any of the destroyers or any of that. That's all going to stay here, and nothing that's in a task force. As a matter of fact, all we want are AKs. So let's just bring up the AK list. Now you see all the ones that are 14s. Let's go get some of these 4175s. One, two, three, four. Yeah, okay, done. 4175 capacity. Now I saw some other ones in there that were 5500, and so I'm going to have the 5500 ones actually carry fuel even though they're dry cargo. So we can't dock because we've got too many other things docked as it is. So we'll just put on load supply and get these ready to go. Now they will automatically dock once other things leave the dock. So there we go. Out to Perth. Do not refuel. Okay. And then let's go get some of the 5500. So we're going to do a cargo. It's on all ships now. Let's not do that. Let's take it off. Just put on the AKs. And let's do it by cargo capacity this time. And, you know, things that are not in task forces already. Oh, we got a couple of 6400s. Those are always nice to have. The Scottish Chief and the Empire Rainy. All right, those look good. What are they? Speed 12. Okay. Just looking at what else we have here. Done. Can we dock this? Nope. Still can't dock. Let's have them actually load fuel because of their big capacity. They've already got some fuel in here, as a matter of fact. And let's send them out to Perth. Okay. Now we're going to do a do not refuel when they get there. And that is all set up. And then I saw some 13 speed ships that have a decent capacity. So let's go grab those. Not all ships, just AKs. And I don't want anything in a task force already. Let's go down here. Well, let's just sort by speed. These guys, these are the ones I want. One, two, three. Okay, done. And we're going to send that to Perth eventually. We got to dock it and load some fuel though. Can't dock. port size. I mean, we've just got too much here already. We're going to put that on load fuel. All right, so that'll give us, about 8,000 tons of fuel. And I think for this turn, we'll just leave it there. I don't, want to get too many things out to Perth all at the exact same time because we just don't have enough escorts for it, for one thing. But I think that's going to do it for Cape Town. All right, moving on. What do we have? Well, let's go from top to bottom. I guess I jumped over here. I didn't really need to do that. What do we have already? And you can see all of the ships that we already have headed for Perth for the most part. Some of these are coming back, but this is Perth to Cape Town with supply, supply Perth from Cape Town, supply Perth from Cape Town. Make sure these are all on do not refuel. This is supply Perth. This one is going to go into Albany. I try to put some into Albany and Esperance too, which are right down by Perth. It's just they're also Albany especially has a nice sized port. It's actually a hidden gem. Um, I have a destroyer with this group for whatever reason. It's also going out to Albany, but that's good that I've got destroyers with a few of these because I need all the destroyers at Perth I can get. So I mean, all of these task forces are going out there. Look at this tanker task force. We have got to get some destroyers in here. Look at this, 62, nearly 62,000 tons of fuel. That would be a I mean, beyond disaster if he caught that task force. We've got fuel supply, more of it going out to Albany. All of this is going to hit the map here very soon. We've got more out to this one's going to Albany. Then I've got a CM that is going to Diego Garcia. Why am I doing that? Well, there's a ship stranded at Diego Garcia, and I'm just sending something that has some fuel out to get it because it has no fuel. And so I'm just going to put it together in a task force and then get them back, try to get it back over here to Cape Town. Here's another one that's going to Perth. Again, do not refuel. Another one to Perth, do not refuel. You start to get the idea of how many task forces get out there. Now, this is a super important one. This has got pretty much the entire, I think it's the 7th Australian Division. Is that right? Yep, it's the 7th Australian Division. It is all on this task force except for this one little bit that's already in Perth. And so we've got a whole division that's coming through here that's going to get on the map. How soon? How soon? Let's get back there. In 10 days, it will make it onto the map. Of course, if we want to see exactly the route it will take, it will be all the way down here. I was tempted to take this one, so it's all the way down here in our main Perth lane. This is where they always come on the map. I was tempted to send this to Melbourne, and we still might, but for now anyway, I've got it headed to Perth. So that's a full Australian division heading out there. And then we have another tanker group. Now, this one I'm turning around. I was going to send it back. Where was I sent? Oh, I think it was going to Cape Town, and I decided to send it back to Abaddon. So you can see here the numbers get kind of screwy when you turn them around in the off pipes here. And so that one is headed back to Abaddon. Okay, these are ships that are also heading out. I mean, you can see, yeah, even more. No, these are actually, yep, that one's headed to Cape Town from Abaddon. Okay, these are the ones coming in. So these are the ones going out to Perth. These are ships coming into Cape Town from the map. All right. These are ships coming into Cape Town from the US East Coast. And so I have got a load of ships coming in here. We've got a destroyer that's coming in, some tankers that are full from Abaddon coming in, all coming into Cape Town here. Then we have some empty ones from the map as well. You can see they don't have anything on them. Tanker empty. This one's full coming from Abaddon though. Empty. This one's full coming from, you can see how much fuel I'm trying to dump into Cape Town that will eventually go to Australia. Capacity here, okay, those are empty. This is coming from Abaddon with fuel, more tankers. I told you I sent a lot of tankers from Abaddon to Cape Town. Some of these I want to stay at Cape Town and then start making runs to Australia. This is an empty one. Empty, empty. Oh, but wait, there's more. Empty. So you can see we've got a lot of empty cargo coming back in. A lot of these have been out to Australia already, or they were in India, and I'm just bringing them all to Cape Town. Also, somewhere in Aden and Abaddon, and I'm sending them down here to Cape Town. Tanker, empty ones, empty, 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 empty. Okay, that's all of those. I say, oh, that's all. That's all of those. Now I've got a lot coming in from the U.S. East Coast. You can see it's onto a second page as well. These should all be full, and they should all be do not refuel, and many of them will be continuous supply. So supply coming into Cape Town, supply, but it's not on continuous. Fuel, fuel, supply. I guess I didn't turn as many of these into CSs as I thought. I really alternated between fuel and supply as well. You really, for the most part, don't want to run these smaller missions because it chews up as much fuel as they actually bring to their destination. But when you're talking about coming from the US East Coast, that's like a kind of an unlimited spigot. And so if you're really low on fuel at Cape Town, you could do it even if, uh, mathematically, it probably doesn't make sense, but the east coast of the U.S. never runs out. So in some respects, it doesn't matter. Again, all of these are coming in with either fuel or supply to Cape Town. We just want to make sure they are on do not refuel. Okay, those all look good. All right, so we've set up Cape Town. We've got what's coming in, coming out. Great. All right, now what do I do? I go up to Karachi and we start working down the map in India. Um, let's see what we have here. We have an AM. This, of course, a minesweeper here, the pool. Okay. We have a tanker that's unloading here, the Fern Castle. So it's just unloading. I'm using my shorter endurance, I guess it doesn't matter as much about capacity to come to Karachi. The longer distance ones I'm sending to Cape Town out of Abadan, because if they do stay in Cape Town, they'll be running all the way over to Perth or Melbourne, so they need a bigger endurance. So the shorter endurance ones are the ones I keep here to do this run, and then we have a local minesweeper. All right, we have no aircraft here, and we have no ships in port. That's fine. What are we doing? We're expanding the port, trying to take it to a 7, which gives you all kinds of bonuses for rearming. The airfield capacity, I'm taking that up higher. You don't have to. I mean, air-wise, how much are you going to be doing at Karachi? Maybe not a whole lot. I mean, you dump in the air from Aden here and then fly it down, but we also kind of have unlimited supply here to some extent because we keep bringing it from Abadan and Aden. So I've got it going. I don't know. I'll probably just take this to a 7. The port, I'll stop doing that at a 7. The fortifications, you may as well just keep building at an important place like this till it gets to a 9. I mean, why, take it as high as you can. So we don't have anything else here, and all of the troops we have here, I want here. They're at target, okay? Now we only have an assault value, assault strength, if you will, of 153 here, which is probably light for Karachi. But I mean, look, Karachi is going to be one of the last places he invades by land or by sea. Or land, right? I mean, he'd have to come all the way across India. So you just want to keep a decent garrison here. And that's really what we have. I mean, they're all Northern Command. They're just sitting here, 153, combat, defend. I do not have these in the reinforcement upgrade queue because they're just really a garrison. All right, I mean, that's Karachi. There's nothing else to do there. I've got some things that are running anti-sub out here. So you can see I've got patrol zones, and you just saw those. And then here's another cargo ship that's coming in. It's loaded to the gills here. It's going to drop off almost 13,000 tons of supply. Karachi to Abadan, CS Karachi, do not refuel. Okay, so he's coming in, and then we've got a tanker task force coming in. It's also a CH or CH CS. You can do this two different ways. You can either have these guys out here running all kinds of a blanket ASW search, or you can put them in the individual task forces. Now, we haven't seen any submarine activity up here yet. That doesn't mean it's not coming. We just haven't seen it yet, really, until he takes like a Colombo or something like that. It's very hard for him to operate his subs up here. Okay, so that's really it for Karachi. There's nothing to fly out of here. There's no ships in port. We know what we're building or not building. Places like Hyderabad, there's no reason to do either one of these things. We don't really need that. I mean, look, if the Japanese are at Hyderabad, the game's over, essentially. I mean, so no reason to use up supply building those. And this is just to satisfy the garrison requirement. So I actually have two groups that add up to 12, and we have a garrison requirement of 10. And so they're just sitting here, two very weak units, garrison requirement. I'm not going to go through every last one of these. If you see troops up here, it's because they're trying to make sure we have enough in the garrison. Uh, Here, I mean, this is a big one, but also at Lahore, you need 120. We've got 176 there, so it's not like it's egregious. Again, garrison. Watch out. Sometimes you'll get things in at Rawalpindi that you may want to pay attention to. And for instance, we only need 60 here, right? But both of these are static. I say both. All three of this is Northern Command. They're all static. You couldn't move them if you wanted to. And so that you have that at Rawalpindi. But always just kind of check up here just to make sure you haven't gotten in a new Indian division that you, or a regiment or battalion or whatever that you don't know about. At Delhi, we just need the fortress there. That's fine. You know, again, all garrison requirements up here. I do have a little local minesweeper here. Sometimes a Japanese player would like to mine this. I don't really know why. I mean, we're not really doing a whole lot here, but we've got a hell of a lot of minesweepers. So I guess my thought on that is why not? I mean, we've got way too many of them anyway. Um, Just kind of digging through here. You know, if you haven't been through it a million times, you always want to come over here, make sure it's on combat, because usually you've moved these from somewhere, whether strategically or otherwise. So you just want to make sure they're on combat. And anything up here, put on do not reinforce, do not upgrade. You want that for your frontline troops. Make sure they're where they're supposed to be at target. Lucknow, Kanpur, same idea. I'll just look at these very quickly. No, combat, defend at target. That's what you want. Oh, got nothing at Bhopal. Little did they know there was going to be a huge gas leak there someday. Um, all right, I think I'm going to call this one episode. I'm going to try to chop these up, and it may turn into 4 or 5 episodes. I just want to warn you, and maybe there's a part of the map that you're more interested in others, or you want to know how I've got it set up at a different place. But when we come back next time, I'm going to start at Bombay. We're going to look at Bombay, Colombo. Make sure we don't have anything out here. Look at what kind of recon are we running. You can see I've got a base force finally getting to North Mail. Although this has got me nervous with the Japanese not that far away, but we've been going for the longest time. I finally got float planes out here, and now I'm going to bring in a base force because, as you see, it's red here. I don't think they have any. Well, it's a 2. Now this task force does have some supply loaded on, and the base force that I think I had to buy out and I shipped it out of Bombay. But anyway, it's going to come into North Mail and finally put a base force there with some supply. So we'll look at Bombay, Colombo, Calcutta, and Rangoon next time. Anyway, this has been Strategy Gaming Dojo. I hope you find this useful and enjoyable. I do this every turn, so if you want to see more of the in-depth stuff, I can certainly do that. Just let me know. Let me know in the comments, or maybe you're like, damn it, Dojo, this is too slow for me. That's fine too, but ultimately you don't have to watch it. I wish I could make you watch it, but you don't have to. So, I'm just going to crank these out for people that are interested. Anyway, Strategy Gaming Dojo. Talk to you next time. Have a great one.